Welcome back. Today we're talking about creating a team and a network that is not your staff. We're not talking about staffing. We're talking about a network that supports you and or your business. We're going to list out people that we have in our network, why we have them in our network, maybe talk about some lessons we've learned. Yeah. Welcome to the Hello Hair Pro podcast. My name is Todd. I'm here with my wife and business partner, Jen.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
Me too.
We're matching. We matched the last one we did too, and I didn't mention it. Now I'm mad I didn't mention it. That's okay. And hey, we shouted out these glasses, mugs that we got from our staff, but I want to do it again if you're watching us on...
Actually, this episode will air before that other episode, so...
Oh, cool.
Shout it out.
Yeah. Are these Hello Hair Pro mugs. They're Yeti, and they are super cool, and I love them, and our Hello Hair Co team got
So we
them
should
for us
thank
for Christmas.
our sponsors, Yeti.
Yeah. Thanks, Yeti.
Keeping it cold or keeping it hot. That's their motto.
Yes.
I don't know what their motto is, but
I don't
just
either.
Made that up. Should we thank our other sponsors?
Sure. Who are they?
Lamborghini.
Oh, I was like, we don't have any.
Lamborghini. When you want to drive a fast vehicle and show off that you have money, Lamborghini is your choice.
Sure.
If anybody wants to sponsor us, reach out.
Cool. We'll take it.
That would be cool. So,
and we have our Grinch tree.
We do have a Grinch tree. That was there for the last episode, which will be the next episode, we don't record these in order, if anybody's wondering. So here's the deal. You need a network or a team, whatever you want to call it, to support you and your business.
Yeah, that's your foundation.
It is, and it's really important. You want to have, here's why I believe, and then you can touch on it if you want. The biggest one for me is peace of mind. Mm-hmm. I have relationships with these people, which means if I'm faced with and all of these people specialize in a very specific area. So, which means if I have a problem, or shit comes up, I know who to go to. I already have a relationship with these people. I think that's the number one thing for me. You have anything to add?
I agree 100%. It truly creates, for me, so internally, I'm a freaker outer, if that's a thing.
Okay.
I freak out. So when I was younger one time and I owned a condo and I'm standing in my kitchen and it's raining on my head while I'm in my kitchen, I call my mom. And my mom is like...
I remember that.
Why the fuck are you calling me? Call a plumber. And I was like, shit, you're right. Why
what was she going to do?
Nothing. My instinct was to call my mom. So I didn't have a network. So my network was my family. So I call my mom because I'm freaking out. And my mom's like, you call a plumber. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'll call a plumber. Oh. So now in my business, I'm not going to, I'll call my mom for other things. But if there's an issue and I needed a plumber,
your mom's great. I call your mom for shit.
My mom, shout out to my mom. She's friggin' amazing. She is our network. But in this case, if there's an issue with a plumber, I'm not going to call my mom. I'm going to call the plumber first. I might call my mom after to cry about whatever went on. But I'm going to call the people that can fix the problem the quickest and get us to the next thing that we need to get working on.
Love it. So who should be in your network? It's going to vary. I wrote a blog post, an article, I never know what to call it, and I will put the link in the description in the show notes. So I'll just run through that. Like, who makes up your team?
Yeah.
So for us, we have plans for the future. And we built our salon from scratch.
Yeah.
Not even. We had to actually take the salon from something, make it scratch, and then start. So the first person I have on the list is a designer.
Yeah.
A designer is not somebody that you may use every day or even every year, but I believe that it's important if you have a business that you have a relationship with a designer. Mm-hmm. Ours is amazing. Reach out if you want his name. But I just think that they help in so many ways that...
They help your flow.
Yes.
Like, Todd and I did a lot of what you see at Hello, but with the help of David, it kept us on course, on point to everything we were trying to do. And it questioned everything we were doing. Like, are you sure that's what you want to do? Why are you doing that?
From somebody that's been in the industry for a long time.
Really long time.
And understands how things need to be done.
Right.
You might not. And that's okay if you don't. That's why you have a designer on your team. If you're building, do you have anything else to add on designer? So I'm just going to kind of move through these, right?
Perfect.
We'll keep it simple. As you move through building a new salon, or if it's in your future, you probably want to have an architect somewhere.
Yeah.
You need him.
Yeah.
Or her.
Wherever you go, you either want to take things down or whatever you want to do, you need to know that you can actually structurally do that.
We had a plan laid out. I drew a plan with you and our designer on paper. And then we brought in an architect to say yes or no, this will structurally work or not.
Yeah.
You cannot do that. Don't just start knocking walls down.
No, and that's what they're there for. So then when you do knock them down, you know that you're good to go.
You know that you're safe. And we knocked down a shitload of walls
Yeah.
at Hello. That place was a nightmare. So next person or group or whatever, however you want to look at these that I have on my list is an electrician.
Yeah. You need
an electrician. We have two.
Yeah.
That we built out Hello with.
Yes.
We have somebody that was a legit genius. Person gets helicoptered into oil rigs to solve problems and engineer electrical systems for out in the Gulf, over in Egypt. Insane.
And then we have our local electrician.
And then we have somebody that's local. Right? Because our big problem guy is not always available. Sometimes he's helicoptering in.
We introduced them so they communicated so that we could utilize and kind of toggle back and forth if needed.
Yes,
which was
and
really
when there
cool.
were problems, they worked through them together, and they had no problem with it because
they were both thankful.
Both awesome professionals.
People.
Right? All right. Next is an HVAC company.
I didn't even have that on my list. That's a good one.
So and the reason this is on my list is because we dealt with this. We had units that weren't blowing. We had units that wouldn't even turn on. We had units that had been turned off because of previous owners not paying bills, and we had no clue. We had all sorts of problems that we had to troubleshoot. You might say, I'm not building a salon. I don't need that. Well, guess what? If your property manager is not available and you run into an issue where your heat is not coming on or your AC is not coming on, you will have thanked yourself for establishing a relationship with an HVAC company.
These are so important because before you sign that lease, you generally are doing a walkthrough, and some of these relationships we didn't have as good as we did once we got started. So that's a learn for us. But some of this should have been done prior because that would have set us up even better. So have all of your network people check on all your stuff before you sign that so you know what you're getting yourself into. That's why you need a network.
Agreed. The next people or group that I have on our list, and these people are like, I don't know how to not be cheesy when I talk about them, but they have like a special place in my heart, is our builders / carpenters.
Yes.
Now,
I didn't know what to call those. Carpenter was a word that I couldn't find. I said, people that can get shit done when no one else can.
Oh my fucking God. Did they ever? Did they ever?
Or carpenter, build out people, whatever that is. Like that's.
They're builders because they just get it done.
Yeah.
These people.
And they don't complain.
These people were paramount. I don't know how we would have got Hello built. Without them. So we had a team of 2. And every fucking problem that I missed, they were there like, I got you.
Yes.
Might not be tomorrow, but I got you.
My blood pressure go from here to here. As long as they were on site that day, I'm like, we're good. Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking, these guys helped our electrician.
They helped everybody. They were amazing.
They built things.
I would just hug them whenever they would let me hug them.
The electricians, they don't handle some of the equipment that we were bringing in, such as overhead dryers and things. You can't just put those up in a drop ceiling. They needed to be secured. They needed to be tethered, and we had big lighting platforms installed, and the electricians were looking up there like, what the fuck are we doing? And our builders were like, hey, you want a hand? Yeah. And they essentially built these units that are up in our ceiling to take the weight of anything that we could, you could hang from it and do pull-ups if you wanted to. So shout out to those guys. That could be a whole nother
Those guys
episode
are,
just on them.
Yeah,
just on those
the shit.
two. Here's one that we haven't had the best luck. You know where I'm
I know
going.
where you're
You know where
going.
I'm going next, right? You have to have a plumber. Now, I've never had good luck with plumbers. Just haven't.
Ugh.
I don't know why.
Although I will say, the plumber we have now that we actually got from our landlord, like they use it for the building, he's pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes, and they are also our HVAC company. So that's
they're
who
great.
we,
I actually have to
who
call
we
them.
use there, yes.
And they're the first ones that have been reliable. They come in, they do the job. They don't screw you. It's great. And it actually, in this case, helps because they know the building. So it does sort of protect us on the side of like the way that we all can communicate together. It's great. But that happened after.
We had reached out to a plumbing company, not a small company, a large company.
No, they have commercials.
And they have commercials. Must be big time.
Not like that, but they tell you
So-
like you need it. You need us. No, they sucked.
They were pretty bad. Our salon flooded once from them, once
Yep.
from another company.
They sat there and looked at stuff. It's like, this is a lot of work. This is a lot of work.
Yeah.
This is a lot of work.
And they were getting paid.
Yeah.
It was so odd.
They quoted the job. And then their workers were complaining. It was horrendous.
It was really difficult to deal with, and it just goes to show why you would go through this process of establishing
Yeah, it's so important.
connections and building this network. It's important. And again, I want to stress the importance of this isn't just for owners. Like maybe don't take this literal, right? Is what I'm trying to say. So if you're listening and you're like, I'm a stylist that will never need a plumber. I work for somebody. Well, what will you need? Think about the things that you'll need and try to forecast any problems that might come up and build a network.
Yeah, yes. Your
Build-
network
build
may
your
not have a
network.
plumber in it, but
Right.
like
Build your network before you
Correct.
need your network.
Yes, that's just the foundation needs to be started.
So this brings us to our next one, and this is the biggest. I'm not saying they hold more value, but I'm saying they do things that you can't do at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very specialized, is you need a lawyer or a legal team.
Yeah.
I guess we have a team,
We do.
actually.
Yeah. You need someone to read your lease. We actually, I'll be transparent here.
Go off.
We were going to actually sign a longer lease or offer it to try to get certain things that we wanted, whatever. And our lawyer was like, I wouldn't, because this is your first time in the building. So I would take the lesser lease to start and then make sure that's where you want to stay. And it was a very great piece of advice. And then he's like, then send the longer one after, once you've been there and you've established a relationship and you know what's working and what's not. And then you can renegotiate that. And it was wonderful. And our lease was pretty straightforward, but you needed to have that done that way.
And you need lawyers that are, so you need, first of all, if you're like, I don't need a lawyer, you definitely need a lawyer. You can contact a lawyer. I think lawyers will do like a consultation just to establish a relationship.
If you're signing anything, you need a lawyer.
Signing anything, you need a lawyer.
Having a business partner, you need a lawyer.
Yes. Thinking about opening your own business, you need a lawyer.
Yeah.
You need a lawyer, period. Because they can do things that you can't. They can see things that you can't.
And you don't want to have it fixed after.
No.
Way more expensive.
You need it before. That's actually my notes. Lawyers are not too expensive. Not having one is very expensive.
Yes, I know firsthand from my last business.
Yeah. So we actually have a legal team, and there are all sorts of things you can do. First of all, you never know who's going to come at you. Somebody could choose.
You never know.
Somebody can choose. Yeah, you could have a business partner that turns out to be a total psychopath.
Yep.
And then you're in some sort of legal battle. You need a lawyer.
Or someone
Just
doesn't
saying.
like what you just put up in your doorway. They want you to take it down.
You need a lawyer.
You need a lawyer.
Right? You can say fuck off, I guess, but I like to say it with a note from the lawyer. Mm-hmm. I like it to
also because you don't know your rights. And a lot of times who's ever coming at you, they don't know their rights either
No,
or
they have
yours.
no clue.
So they're just coming at you and
generally.
they're trying to bully you to do certain things. And
It can get scary.
very. And we had a moment last year, I think it was, whatever, and I had been just pushed too much. Like, you can't do this, you can't do this. And I remember calling Todd, like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, let me reach out to our attorney and let's see, where do we sit? And
We had like a 90-minute conversation. I remember sitting in my truck staring at the salon and talking to Bob.
Yeah.
And he was like, he gave us all the options. He's great like that. And it just, I guess I don't want to get too carried away with what was said, but there are some options. Okay. We can write a letter.
Mm-hmm. Like, how do you want to proceed?
And explain, or we can go to fucking war.
Yeah.
And we can trash everyone. And I was like, why don't we
just start with a letter.
Just write a letter?
See where that goes.
Yeah, let's just write
a letter.
And
honestly, they're leading up to that part with Bob. I was trying to negotiate a law on our own because I'm like, I don't want to use a lawyer or whatever. And it wasn't getting us anywhere, except I was getting too stressed. I wasn't sleeping. And like, it was nowhere professional going. And once Bob entered the picture, it just was done. It was done. And we knew whatever happened from here, at least it would follow with whatever we had signed in our lease, whatever relation or contract we had with our landlord, that like everything would have, like it just was whatever was written out.
It's all set.
Yeah. So, and I didn't stress any longer.
That's why we had our lease looked at before we signed it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people miss that. They just sign a lease and then it's, well, what was in there? Well, who is responsible for this? Who is responsible for that? And when we went through our lease with our attorney, they said this is actually one of the more fair leases, which you have to watch out for, because there's, not watch out for in a bad way, but beware of, because it's clear as day.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like this
so
is
when things come up, it's going to be very
first
easy
rodeo.
Correct.
Right. They wrote it that way specifically. All right. So lawyer up. Lawyer up before you need to lawyer up. And like I said, do a consultation with them and just get them on board. Let them know your future plans. Let them know what you're thinking, where your head's at, so they can get a feel for, you know, if you're going to be the type to write a letter or you're going to be the type to go to war. And
because then when things come up, it's just a phone call and it's really easy.
Yeah, they're already familiar with you and they know you, and our lawyers know us. Probably too well. But and for salon owners that are thinking, you know, I don't know if I need a lawyer. Well, what are your future plans? Like, do they include a second location? Do they include franchising opportunities? Do they include, I mean, what are you doing? You know, are you growing a business? So one more point I want to make on lawyers before we move forward. This is not the time, your business and your livelihood, this is not the time for a friend of a friend. No, you need a lawyer that specializes in your needs
and whatever
are.
They are. So I actually,
you need a business attorney, because that's great that your friend does, you know,
family
wills
law.
and family law. No, that's not what that person's going to miss stuff.
So I think on a side of it, as
potentially
a stylist, independent, whatever. As a stylist, if you're given a non-compete from your owner, you need to have a lawyer look at it, not your parents. I'm sorry, your parents are probably great, but you need a lawyer to look at it so you understand what you're signing. If you're choosing to, what agreement you're going into. I agree with that, but make sure you know what your rights are.
Just say no.
If you're an independent stylist and you're working under someone else's roof and they're asking you to sign a lease or some sort of contract, same thing. You need an attorney to look at that so that you truly understand what your rights are. It's very important. As an owner, if you're giving these things out, you need to make sure they're coming from a lawyer also, so that they're legitimate documents.
I just spoke with a salon owner that said they had 2 of their staff move from a commission salon to a rental salon, and they had to sign a non-compete.
That's insane.
That doesn't even make sense to me.
Yeah. Don't sign anything without having some legal help. Very important.
This has nothing to do with networks, but don't sign non-competes. They're archaic. I feel like I should throw a fist up and the police should take me away, because I'll jump on that soapbox all day. Don't sign that shit. But yeah, to Jen's point, if you are considering signing something, have a professional take a look at it. You've dealt with
all kinds.
A book of a non-compete in the past that laid out some really crazy stuff. And again, we don't need to get into what it was, but it was so absurd that a judge said this is absurd because it got to that level. That's crazy.
Yeah. So to that point, I'll give you an example because I think stories resonate, and I think
stories
you can
are sticky.
Realize how important it is. So I signed a non-compete that was like 25 pages, and I was young. I didn't really know. I was like, whatever, I'm going to work here. It's fine. And when I left, I remember saying to the manager, can you watch me pack up my stuff, like walk me out? Like nobody actually cared, but I wanted to make sure everyone realized like I was going. And I got hit with that I stole possessions that belonged to the business that I left. So,
What?
which in reality, because of what I signed, I did. So when I signed this non-compete, I signed over any belongings I brought into the building that day. They now belonged to the LLC of the salon I was working for. So when I left and I took my scissors that I purchased, my combs, my blow dryer, in a sense, what I had signed said that it was theirs and not mine, and I took it. That never stood up in the court. They ended up actually owing me money for something that they took legally out of my paycheck. But I didn't understand what I was signing, and so that is the first problem. And
that's just an asshole creating an opportunity to control somebody. But
understand,
that's what that is.
That was in that agreement, and I did sign it. Yeah, I know. I'm just putting it out there because there are those scenarios where I'm like, what? I didn't steal anything. But when my lawyer went through it, he's like, well, actually, you stole your own stuff back. But yes, you'll be fine. But you did because you agreed to it. So that's why it's important.
And now we have to go in front of a judge.
Yes, and now I have to pay.
And now we have to talk about it.
Yes.
And now you have to pay your lawyer.
Yes.
Because you didn't pay your lawyer in the beginning.
Correct. I just signed it.
To just read the fucking agreement. But you didn't know what you didn't know. And that's what this podcast is about. Hopefully this clicks with someone.
Yeah, that's all. That's why I share the story. It was a long time ago.
So the next one I have on my list here is business coach. Mm-hmm. This is a big one for us.
It's very important.
You need a coach or a mentor. I don't care what you want to call it. I do think there is value in the exchange. And what I mean by that is paying somebody because you have some skin in the game. Mm-hmm. If you just have a mentor that there's nothing to lose when they give you a suggestion or they question you or they piss you off or you become reactive and they are like, hey, Todd, why do you think that is? And you're like, piss off. Like, I don't care. I'm not listening to you. Go to hell. When you have some skin in the game and you're paying them or there's some exchange, however you want to, I don't know. You figure it out. We pay a mentor, a business coach, but have that so that it keeps you true to
it's the only way to grow
your growth.
You'll fall flat on your face without one. I'm sorry, you just will.
Yeah, I agree.
You won't get anywhere. You can say, I pray to the universe, which I love praying to the universe. Don't get me wrong. But you can throw that out there every day to the universe. And if you don't have somebody pushing you and really challenging you, you will not get there. You just won't.
Agreed. Again, this is one now that carries over just like an attorney would. If you're an employee or an owner, you should have a business coach or a mentor or a coach or...
We coach our staff at our salon. That's just something that we offer.
Our staff has
part of our environment, right?
So there's personal growth, there's professional growth. Separate that. There's a lot of carryover and a lot of blending together. I get it. Emotional intelligence and blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah. I haven't said that in a while. One of the biggest points I make all the time to people of why I like to have a coach is the organization of my thoughts. Mm-hmm. I've said this before, but when you're that entrepreneur mindset, that business oriented person, there's no lack of ideas. The ideas are there. It's like, how do I structure these in a way that makes sense? How do I organize these and then execute them? What gets backburnered? Because something out. I have been known to come up with ideas that are probably at least 5. I'm being generous with myself, but probably like a 10-year goal. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, can I start it? And my business coach is like, cut the shit.
Yeah. So for me, it was, I want to tell everybody my thoughts. Like as if like I want to share them with the world. And I learned how to pretty much conceal them.
Pause.
Yeah, and pause.
Concealment.
Until they like are coming through and I have a plan and are they going and all of that. Where before I would just like throw it up on everybody and like as if they were happening tomorrow. And some could be a 10 years, some could be 5, some could be next month. But it really helps me like dial back. Like, okay, that's a great idea, but how are you getting there? What are you doing? Just because you have an idea doesn't mean it's happening.
No,
like,
it's probably not happening. Most of my ideas don't happen.
Yes, so that's
exactly what I'm
talking about. A
lot
of that like is how it helped me.
Sure. Yeah. I think that just coaching in general, go through the process, right? Look around. There are a ton of everyone's a coach nowadays. I feel.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
So you do
out
have to
there.
be careful there too, right? You've got to find the right person, and just because someone says there's a coach doesn't mean that they're a good one.
The right person and the right group and community and the things that are
what
important
are their
to
goals?
you.
What are their core values? What are their missions?
Exactly.
Like, does it align?
So the group that we're aligned with, a lot of their values resonate with us.
Correct.
So we chose them. We went through, I'll say, an interview process with several other groups, some of them very, very large, very, very well known. And there was a disconnect. They just didn't line up. Their thought process, I guess for lack of a better word, in my opinion, is flawed and dated.
Yes.
Well, a lot of what I saw in the business coaching world is very, very dated.
Agreed.
With a lack of being innovative.
Yeah, they were pretty much just like for anyone, everyone. And
Cookie cutter.
If you don't really want to grow as a person, that you're just hiring them to kind of be your cheerleader, to be honest.
Right, and I want to be challenged.
Yeah.
Like, so that might work for, if you're listening, you're like, that sounds good to me. I just want to be told what to do. Fine.
Majority of people out there, that's what you're going to get.
Yes. For me, the second you have a cookie cutter solution or some sort of template, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with templates. I love me a good template. I love me a good procedure.
Yeah.
You break things down, but what I want to do is take that template and make it mine, or take that procedure and break it and make it work.
A lot
for
of
me.
them are so systematized so that you can't put your individual growth into it. You're just going to follow the plan and grow into their plan. Where for us, we were looking like, we need a system and we want a plan.
We know where we want to go.
Yes, but we want to be able to do it our own way. And that takes a coach that can forward think, that can innovate, that can pivot and can work with us, rather than there are other companies that just, you are put into it and then you're handed a book and this is what you implement. Again, that might be for you. I don't know. That was not for us.
No. And another thing that worked well for us is I can say to my business coach that I want to be challenged, I want to be pushed. And that's what she does.
Yes. And I can say to her that I might need a pause. And that's what she does for me.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's very cool. We use the same coach, just we use it individually and sometimes collectively, like kind of a mix of both.
So
because we have different goals.
Yes, we have the same business coach, but she coaches us separately and differently. And like you said, right now you're on a pause from coaching through the holidays, need a little break, take a breather. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you're listening.
No, that's the individual in me. That was a need that I needed, right? So, and I am aware of that. And that's a conversation we had.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, you had it with your business coach and they were like, great, I support this. This is probably a good idea for you at this point. The last thing I want in a business coach is someone that's going to, for my personality, is for somebody that's going to let up when I get a little uncomfortable, because that's going to happen. You're going to get uncomfortable. They're going to push you. If you have a halfway decent business coach, they're going to push you to do things that are uncomfortable, because in those challenges is where we grow. Yeah. That's the whole fucking point. So absolutely. I tell my coach all the time that I want to grow. I want to be pushed. With some other companies that I've looked into, when I've said certain things, they were like, oh, okay, well, we can wait.
They were like a deer in the headlights.
Some of the questions.
Sorry.
I'm trying to be nice.
Okay, my bad.
Some of the questions, I stumped them and had no answer. All right, let's move on. So business coach.
I think I just said deer in the headlights.
I don't know. Sure. So I would put, if I'm not going to order the list, but if I was going to order the list, I would say that a business coach comes after you find your lawyer, find a business coach. That's how fucking important it is.
I agree.
All right. Next, bank. You need a place to store and move money. All right. Now, I'm not going to get into banking and how it works, because you shouldn't be storing your money in a bank. That's just a general sort of statement that I use. There are other places that you should be storing money. But a lot of people look at banks as money storage. What a bank is for a business is a place to move money through. Okay? And I'm not talking about Ozark. If you've seen that series, it's coming back, right? They have another.
I can't wait.
Yeah, that one sucked me in.
It's a good one.
My business coach is going to have a lot when that next season comes out. She's going to have a lot to deal with. I have all these ideas of how to launder money.
Yeah, no.
The IRS is
happening.
not listening, hopefully. I wouldn't really do that. So
We know.
you've got to find out who the small business account manager is at your bank, your
So
local
important.
bank.
Because they're there to help you.
Make a relationship.
Yes.
We connected with ours, and while we were building out Hello,
She was amazing.
she was awesome. And we met with her
Information
in person,
that we hadn't.
through email, through, I think I might have even texted her a couple times.
Yeah, she was awesome.
She just helped us, like, hey, you need money to fund this. Here's where you should get it from, and here's why. And she broke everything down. Here are some options, and here's where you can get money to fund these projects. And here's some other places you can get money to fund these projects. And
Always
here's the pros and
ask.
cons of each. And she was very helpful. Now,
Even if you think they can't help you, don't decide for them.
no,
Ask.
interview them.
Have a conversation, and then even if they can't, they might know a bank that can. Like, do not give up on that. Like, you have to just have the conversation and figure out where you sit and what they can and cannot do for you.
Agreed. So a bank, small business manager, or whatever the person is, I know if you're somebody that is starting a business, it's very overwhelming. There are a lot of things, even if you're not feeling overwhelmed, there are a lot of steps you have to take. There are a lot of things you're dealing with in the moment, and your only focus, it becomes really, really easy to hyper focus on opening that business.
Yes.
Do yourself a favor. Sit down and spend a couple of hours thinking about the future of that business. If you haven't written out a mission and a vision statement,
Some core values.
I'm kind of going towards more the vision statement for this.
Yeah.
Where your company is going in the future. It would be great to talk to your bank, small business manager,
lender,
blah, 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 about where you want to go in the future so that they can set you up now at the ground level to work towards that. Here's the things that people are going to want to see. X. Here's the things you're going to need to do.
These are what you need to meet to get there.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. This one is a little more specific to upfit and things like that, but a lending company. And we have a relationship with a couple of lending companies, a few lending companies. Sometimes they're simpler to deal with than banks. Not always, but sometimes.
Yes.
And their sole job is to lend money. They're not moving money. They're not holding money. So they're different than a bank, but they will provide you with capital that you might not have.
Yeah. And I learned about a lot of these companies when I was opening my first salon through another salon owner that I had no idea was a resource. And honestly, like, if you have money, great, you can start your own business. But if you don't, and you're in a situation that I was with my first salon and this one, these companies, they're amazing. And there's a lot to choose from. And that's, again, where you want to just figure out which one is best for your situation currently and where you want to go in the future. And what relationships you want to build.
We have a company that will actually reach out to check up on us.
Yeah.
I understand that that's their business to lend money. And I know how people feel about lending money or being lent money or debt. But when you really think about the big picture, if you want to get ahead, one of the best things you can do, and I'm just sliding this in, I don't even know why it relates, but one of the best things you can do is borrow money.
Build your credit.
And, well, not even that, but assets.
Yeah.
Borrow other people's money and create opportunities that you make money off of that money. So if you have money in the bank and you're like, oh, I don't care about a lending company, I have $1 million in the bank. First of all, put that money somewhere other than the bank. And second of all, keep that money working for you.
Yeah.
Borrow off of that and move forward with your investments in assets. And that's how you'll start to accumulate wealth. So that brings us to our next very important person or persons, which is a financial advisor. So I happen to have a very close friend that is a financial advisor. You might not. That's literally what I wrote in my blog because I have it pulled up right here.
Amazing.
He's amazing. I don't there are questions that I ask randomly, but I've never gotten into any more detail than a random question, and we're just sort of having coffee and conversating, and I'm curious about it. I've never acted on any question that I've asked him. When I choose to, and I bring this up for a specific reason, because he's a close friend of mine. When I choose to act on any information that he gives me, I will
hire him.
I will pay him, because I need to set
the boundary between the friendship and the relationship of the business.
Yes, because he's a very close friend, and I'm not willing to risk that for some financial advice. I do think he's amazing at what he does, because we meet for coffee and we talk about it all the time, and the stuff that he says blows my mind. So if you have somebody that you're like, oh, I have a plumber, that's my uncle. He'll just show up. Pay your uncle. Have that relationship, right? So that both relationships can last. But a financial advisor is going to help you figure out your finances. What do you want to do? Again, this is now and in the future. What are your plans? Where do you want to go? And they're going to help you. And don't wait to talk to somebody until you have some money. Talk to them before.
And you could get lucky like we did. Our accountant also does like future advising for us and has certain things that he sees will be best for our business. And we just got lucky with that. That's really
right, which is why I haven't had to rely on my
our accountant. Pretty much can he couples us both, so which is great because he has everything in front of him every month, is sending us our statements and then looks to the future and protects us in that way. And it's a great relationship.
So the next group I have on my list is various equipment companies. It's sort of a general thing, but we like to have our finger on the pulse of the industry. We like to know what's going on. We like to know what innovations are coming before they come. We don't like to be caught off guard. No one does.
Yeah.
But most people aren't reaching out to and talking to companies to see what's coming.
Our designer stops in at least once a quarter. Mm-hmm. And we have a conversation.
Yeah. So
because we want to know.
And software companies, we talk to, we're in, I was going to say involved. I'm not involved in the company. Like I don't work for them or anything, but
I do.
Well, yeah, you work for a couple of different companies, three companies. We like to have conversations with people, just like I said, just to have sort of a finger on the pulse of things, or to understand where things bubble. Are going, and to force us to innovate. We have companies, software companies that we chat with once in a while. We have an AI, artificial intelligence company that handles our last minute booking. We have all sorts of things, and if we don't stay in touch with these companies, we don't know what's happening. We don't know what's coming.
We're in the dark.
You're in the dark. All right, so here's one that I don't think a lot of people know about. Maybe you do. Every state has a small business development center. Mm-hmm. So I fell off over the holidays season. I screwed up a call, but excuse me. Before the holiday season, I would have a monthly call with someone from the Small Business Development Center in our state. And they would keep me informed and up to date about anything business related.
Yeah, whatever's out there.
Any changes to regulations that might come up, any changes to things like HR and how to handle staff, working through the pandemic, any changes to funds that were available for certain programs, et cetera, et cetera. I think, and this is free.
Yeah,
this
which is
one
amazing.
Is free, which is
Doesn't
fucking
cost
blows
you
my
anything.
mind.
Just your time, just the phone call.
Yeah, so I would jump on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
With this woman from the Small Business Development Center of New Hampshire, and she is great. I actually have to reach out because I want to get back on her schedule moving into 2022, but she is not. The thing I enjoyed most is she's not specific to the hair industry. She's small business. Mm-hmm. So she would question things and ideas that I have, almost like how a consumer might. And I found that to be extremely helpful.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. So reach out your small business. In the show notes, if you're in New Hampshire, I'll put a link to where you can find these people. Last one I have on my list here is other business owners.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is so underrated. And in a recent podcast we did, I think you talked about going into other businesses, experiencing services, etc., things like that.
Still do. I need to see what's going on out there.
Yeah, but just how about just have a conversation with other small business owners?
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be in hair.
No, it's
what
just
problems do you face?
Yeah. Because you could take stuff that they're going through and relate it to what you're going through, or relate it to what might be in the future of your business. And it's amazing.
They have a lot of insight because we've all faced different problems. And here's something. Reach out to other business owners. We could probably wrap on this unless you have something else, but reach out to other business owners with a help first mentality.
I love that.
Here's what I mean by that. Reach out to another business owner, and instead of trying to get in front of their clients and show off the fact that you do hair, ask them what problems they face and see if you can provide a solution.
Mm-hmm.
That is how you network. Networking is not going into your local coffee shop and sticking your fucking business card on their community board.
Yeah.
That is not networking. Networking is sitting down with the owner and asking what some of the problems they face are and seeing if you can come up with some solutions together, or maybe you have a solution, or maybe you've already dealt with that problem, and giving them that information. Solve their fucking problems. That's a big one. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything else?
No.
All right, let's wrap it. So thank you so much for listening. Appreciate you guys. This episode will come out, I believe this is the last episode of 2021.
Great.
Pretty cool. So
put your network together.
Put your network together for 2022. We're looking forward to the new year with everyone, and get on our mailing list because we have some stuff coming. That's all I got. Thank you for listening. This was a good first year, even though we're only like a few episodes in.
Quarter of a year.
It was awesome. I'm out. Love you.
Thanks.